Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about what happens after the end of the world. I mean, think about it. After a global flood basically hits the reset button on everything, humanity gets a second chance. But with that second chance comes a whole new set of rules. We are diving deep into Genesis chapter 9 to really unpack the promise and, the curse that shaped so much of what came next.
So imagine you've just been through a complete and total reset of the entire planet. What do you do now? For Noah and his family, the only people left, this is literally day one of a brand new world. And it all kicks off with a blessing from God and a totally fresh set of instructions that are going to govern humanity from this moment on.
All right, so in this, let's call it rebooted world, the very first order of business is to define the new rules of engagement. And we're not just talking about between God and people, but also between people and every single living thing. The slate has been wiped completely clean, so brand new ground rules have to be laid down. Now, this first command might sound a little familiar, right? It's almost a word-for-word repeat of the one given to Adam and Eve way back in the beginning. And that's a huge signal. It tells us this is way more than just about survival. This is a full-on official reset. Humanity is getting a second shot to do what it was meant to do all along. Thrive and, well, fill the earth.
But right away, we see a fundamental shift in how the world works. The text now says the fear and dread of humans will be on every animal. This isn't the peaceful Garden of Eden kind of relationship. No, this is something new, maybe a little more confrontational. It's a dynamic between us and the animal kingdom that honestly feels a lot closer to the world we know today.
So, along with this new vibe come three really critical new rules. First, there's a huge change to the menu. Humans can now officially eat meat. Second, there's a very strict rule attached to that. You can't eat meat with its blood still in it, because the blood is seen as the life force itself. And third, the most serious rule of them all, one that's all about protecting human life. And here's the powerful why behind that third rule. This one verse lays out a principle of justice, an eye for an eye, essentially, that many see as the foundation for capital punishment. And the reason for it is profound. Human life is sacred. It's special, because humans are made in the very image of God. That's what sets them apart from everything else.
As important as these rules are, though, they're really just the setup. They're the opening act for something way, way bigger, one of the most significant and universal promises in the entire Bible. This is the moment where God formally establishes a binding agreement with all of creation.
Now, to really get the weight of what's about to happen, we have to understand this word, covenant. This is not a negotiation. It's not two equal parties hammering out a deal. This is what you call a unilateral promise. It's a one-sided declaration from God to everyone and everything. He sets the terms, and He's the one who guarantees them, period.
And here it is, the core of the whole promise. It is an absolute, ironclad guarantee. The specific weapon of mass destruction that was just used, a global flood, will never, ever be used to wipe out all life again. This is the bedrock promise of security for this new world.
And what's so incredible here is just how big this promise is. It's not just for Noah and his family and their descendants. The text goes out of its way to emphasize that this covenant includes every living creature. We're talking birds, livestock, all the wild animals. All life on Earth gets to be under this new umbrella of divine protection. Okay, so a promise that is this massive, this all-encompassing, it needs a sign, right? It needs a powerful, visible symbol, something that everyone can see, a constant reminder of the agreement that was just locked in.
And there's our sign, the rainbow. This natural, beautiful phenomenon is suddenly given this incredible divine meaning. It becomes the official, permanent marker of God's unbreakable promise to the whole planet and everything on it. From now on, every time a rainbow appears, it's like a re-signing of that agreement.
But here's a detail that's just fascinating. The sign works in two directions. It's not just for us, for humanity, to look up and remember the promise. The text actually says that when the rainbow appears, God Himself will see it and remember His everlasting covenant. What a powerful idea, right? A symbol that works as a reminder for both sides of the agreement.
So we have this incredible sense of hope and security. And then the story just takes a hard turn. The narrative suddenly zooms in from this cosmic universal scale right down to a messy, very personal family drama. It's a harsh reminder that, the flood might have washed away the world, but it didn't wash away human weakness.
The story just lays it all out, step by step.
Noah, the great hero who saved all of life on Earth, he becomes a farmer, he plants a vineyard, makes some wine, drinks it, gets drunk, and passes out totally exposed in his own tent. It's such a raw, very human moment of weakness, and it's what triggers a major family crisis.
Now, how Noah's three sons handle this situation is what drives the rest of the story, and the reactions could not be more different. Ham sees his father in this vulnerable state and then goes and tells everyone about it. But his brothers Shem and Japheth, they do the exact opposite. They take very deliberate, respectful steps to cover their father's shame without even looking.
You can really boil the whole conflict down to this: exposure versus covering. On one side, you have Ham, who looks at his father's disgrace and then broadcasts it. On the other side, you have his brothers who refuse to even look and instead take action to protect their father's dignity. It's a really clear line drawn in the sand between disrespect and honor.
So when Noah finally wakes up and figures out what happened, his reaction is swift and it is powerful. But what's so interesting is that his anger isn't directed at Ham, the son who actually saw him. Instead, he delivers a prophecy, a curse really, at his grandson, Canaan. And this sets in motion something that's going to echo for generations.
These are Noah's first words when he wakes up. Think about that. Not gratitude for being covered, but a heavy, powerful curse. And it's aimed squarely at his grandson, Canaan, the son of Ham. This curse lays out a future of servitude for an entire line of people.
So, in this moment, Noah lays out three totally distinct futures for his family lines. Canaan's descendants are cursed to be servants. Shem's line is blessed, especially in its connection to God. And Japheth's line is prophesied to expand and grow. These three statements basically create a prophetic pecking order that's meant to shape the world to come.
The chapter then wraps things up by giving us the end of Noah's story. After surviving this world-ending event and setting these new destinies in motion, he actually lives for a very, very long time. Long enough to see his grandkids and their kids start to do exactly what they were told: fill the earth.
And his final age is just staggering: 950 years. It's a number that really drives home his status as this foundational patriarch, the literal bridge between the world that was and the new world that would come entirely from him and his family.
So what are we left with at the end of all this? It's a chapter of just profound contradictions. On the one hand, you have this beautiful, divine promise of safety and security for every living thing, symbolized by a rainbow. But on the other hand, you have a deeply troubling human curse of servitude born out of a moment of family shame. That tension is really the legacy of this story, and the question it forces us to ask is a heavy one. How has the interpretation and the misinterpretation of this ancient curse been used to shape our world?